My daughter just called to brag about selling my beach house for her promotion party. My name is Paul Anderson. For 15 years, I've worked as a caregiver for adults with special needs while raising my autistic son, Tommy. Jennifer thinks I'm a failure. She tells her pharmaceutical colleagues, I'm just a broke handyman who wasted his life babysitting a burden. She believes the beach house where I work every day belongs to me, some hidden asset I'm too stupid to cash in on. What Jennifer doesn't know is that I don't own that house. Never have. It belongs to the Special Needs Foundation where I'm an employee, not an owner. But here's the thing. Jennifer just announced to her entire company that she sold it at tonight's awards dinner in front of 300 people, including her boss. I didn't stop her. I just listened to my successful daughter commit career suicide over a property that was never mine. Want to see how this plays out? Hit subscribe and drop a comment telling me where you're watching from. I love hearing from parents who've made tough choices for their kids, because this story proves that sometimes the biggest failures teach the most important lessons. Let me paint you a picture of who Jennifer Anderson thinks she is. She drives a white BMW X5. Lease payment $847 a month. Last year, she earned $180,000 selling pharmaceuticals across 6 states. Her Hermes handbag cost $12,000. She flaunts these numbers like battle scars. And who does she think I am? A loser. 2 Thanksgivings ago, Jennifer brought her fiancé Brad to dinner. I was setting the table when she walked into our modest kitchen, took one look around and said to Brad, "See what I mean? This is what happens when you give up." Brad nodded. "Your dad could have been successful if he'd made better choices." I kept folding napkins. Jennifer continued, "He had a CPA license, could have made 6 figures. Instead, he chose to stay home and play babysitter." Babysitter. That's what she called caring for Tommy. Tommy was in the living room working on a painting. He's 26 now, autistic, and creates the most beautiful landscapes you've ever seen. But Jennifer, she hasn't visited Tommy in 3 years. Last Christmas, the pattern repeated. Jennifer's pharmaceutical team was having their holiday party at a downtown hotel. She insisted I attend. "You need to see what real success looks like, Dad." I wore my best shirt, a $10 find from Goodwill. Jennifer wore a dress that cost more than my monthly income. During dinner, her sales manager asked what I did for work. "Paul's between opportunities," Jennifer jumped in. "He's been caregiving for years. It's admirable, but not exactly profitable." Her colleagues nodded politely. One whispered to another, "Must be hard having a father who never launched." Jennifer heard. She didn't correct them. That night, driving home in my 2018 Honda Civic, 284,000 miles on the odometer, I made a decision. If Jennifer wanted to be embarrassed by me, fine. But she was about to learn something about assumptions. See, Jennifer knows I work at a beach property. She's seen the address on my tax forms, 1247 Ocean View Drive, worth $1.2 million. She's seen me leave for work there every morning at 6 a.m. She's seen the modest paychecks, $28,000 a year. What Jennifer never bothered to ask was a simple question. "Dad, do you own that place or do you work there?" For 3 years, she's assumed ownership. 3 years of building her story. My dad has this beach house, but he's too stubborn to sell it and actually do something with his life. 3 years of telling her pharmaceutical friends, when my dad finally dies, I'll inherit that property and start my own practice. 3 years of treating me like a walking inheritance check. The truth? I've been trying to tell her, but every time I start to explain my actual job, she interrupts. "Dad, I don't have time for your stories. Dad, can we focus on reality? Dad, you're living in the past." So I stopped trying, and Jennifer kept assuming. Last month, she told Brad, "The beach house is probably worth $1.5 million now. When Dad passes, we'll finally have the capital to expand." When Dad passes, like I'm already dead. That's when I realized something important. Jennifer doesn't see me as her father. She sees me as an obstacle between her and what she thinks she deserves. But here's what she doesn't understand about the beach house, about my job, about the last 15 years of my life. Every assumption she's made is wrong. Every single one. And on Tuesday morning, when she called to brag about selling my property, I finally understood that Jennifer was about to teach herself a lesson I could never give her. Some education you have to pay for yourself. Let me tell you what 15 years of sacrifice actually looks like. In 2009, my wife Sarah left us. Just walked out one Tuesday morning while Tommy was at his therapy appointment. Left a note. I can't do this anymore. Tommy needs more than I can give. Find someone else. I was making $75,000 a year as a CPA, had a corner office, 3 junior accountants under me, and a pension plan that would have set us up for life. But Tommy needed full-time care. Speech therapy twice a week at $80 per session. Occupational therapy every Thursday at $95. Behavioral therapy on Mondays at $120. His medications cost $1,890 a month. The math was simple. Keep working and put Tommy in a facility, or quit and care for him myself. Jennifer was 17 then, college-bound, smart as hell, but cold as winter. I asked her once, "What do you think I should do about Tommy?" She was studying for her SATs, didn't look up from her prep book. Whatever keeps him from interfering with my college plans. That's when I knew Jennifer would never understand sacrifice. I quit the CPA firm in March 2010, cashed out my 401k to pay for Tommy's care, sold our house, bought something smaller, traded my BMW for a used Honda. For 6 months, I lived on savings, watched every penny, learned to cook Tommy's favorite foods, studied his routines, became an expert in autism care. By October 2010, the money was running low. I needed work that fit around Tommy's schedule. No 9-to-5 office job would work. No travel, no overtime, no flexibility for a father with a special needs son. That's when I saw a posting. Caregiver needed for residential facility. Flexible hours, special needs experience preferred. The job was at Sunrise Special Needs Foundation. They ran a beach house program where adults with autism learned independent living skills. The pay was $28,000 a year. Less than half my CPA salary. But they'd let me bring Tommy to work with me. I took the job. For 14 years, I've worked at that beach house, 6 a.m. to 6 p.m., 5 days a week. I maintain the kitchen equipment, supervise meal prep, drive the residents to appointments, and help them develop life skills. Tommy comes with me every day. He's thrived there. The residents love his artwork. He's sold $28,000 worth of paintings through the local gallery. Has his own bank account now. Jennifer knows none of this. She's never visited the facility, never met the residents I work with, never seen Tommy's art studio or his progress charts or the awards he's won. When she sees my pay stubs, she assumes failure. When she sees the beach house address, she assumes ownership. When she sees Tommy's happiness, she assumes... Actually, she doesn't see Tommy's happiness at all, because Jennifer hasn't visited us in 3 years. 3 years. 1,095 days. Not one phone call to Tommy, not one birthday card, not one question about his art or his progress or his life, but she's an expert on his burden. Last month she told Brad, Tommy should be in a state facility. Dad's just enabling him by keeping him at home. Home. She called the beach house home. If Jennifer had asked, just once, where Tommy and I spend our days, I would have explained everything. The foundation, the program, the residents we serve, the community we've built. But Jennifer doesn't ask questions. She makes assumptions. And Tuesday morning, when she called to announce she'd sold my beach house, I realized her assumptions were about to destroy her career. Because Jennifer doesn't just work in pharmaceutical sales, she works for Meridian Health Solutions. And Meridian Health Solutions, they have a very strict ethics policy about employee fraud. Claiming ownership of property you don't own, that's fraud. Selling property that belongs to a registered charity, that's embezzlement. And Jennifer just confessed to both crimes to her entire sales team. The phone call lasted 17 minutes. I recorded every word. Dad, great news. Jennifer's voice was practically singing. I finally did what you were too weak to do. I was making Tommy's breakfast. Scrambled eggs, wheat toast, orange juice. Same routine for 15 years. What's that, Jennifer? I sold your beach house. I kept stirring the eggs. Interesting. Which beach house would that be? Don't play dumb, Dad. The one at 1247 Ocean View Drive, the one you've been hoarding like some pathetic dragon. I see. And how exactly did you sell it? Jennifer laughed. That cold laugh she's perfected over the years. Power of attorney, Dad. Brad's law firm drew up the papers. You're clearly not capable of making sound financial decisions. I turned off the burner. Power of attorney requires my signature, Jennifer. We have your signature. From Mom's medical forms back in 2010. Perfectly legal. Forged power of attorney. Add that to the list. How much did you sell it for? 1.4 million? Not bad for a property you never maintained properly. Tommy looked up from his painting. He can sense tension in voices. Always has. I gave him a reassuring smile. And what are you planning to do with this money? Well, obviously, I'm keeping most of it. But I'm generous, Dad. I'll give you $50,000 for a nice retirement community. Somewhere with activities for people your age. How thoughtful. The rest is funding my promotion party. I just made regional sales director, 300 people invited. Premium venue. I want everyone to know the Andersons have finally made something of themselves. I sat down across from Tommy. He was painting ocean waves. Beautiful, precise, perfect waves. Tell me about this promotion party, Jennifer. Her voice got excited. Proud. Next Friday at the Grand Meridian Hotel. All the top pharmaceutical reps in the Southeast. Company executives flying in from corporate. This is my moment, Dad. And you're announcing the house sale there? Of course. I'm giving a speech about overcoming family limitations, how I refuse to let your failures define my success. The beach house sale is proof that I can make the hard decisions you couldn't. Tommy finished a wave and looked at me. He doesn't speak much, but his eyes are incredibly expressive. He was asking if everything was okay. I nodded to him, then spoke into the phone. That's quite a speech, Jennifer. It's called ambition, Dad. You should try it sometime. I have one question. Make it quick. I have a conference call with corporate in 10 minutes. Did you verify the property ownership before you sold it? Silence. Then, what do you mean? I mean, did you check the deed, the title, the actual legal ownership documents? Dad, you've worked there for years. Of course you own it. Working somewhere and owning it are different things, Jennifer. Another pause. Longer this time. You're just trying to confuse things because you're mad I took control. I'm not mad at all. I'm curious about your due diligence process. Brad handled the legal stuff. He's a lawyer, Dad. He knows what he's doing. What type of law does Brad practice? Personal injury, but law is law. Personal injury, not real estate, not property law. Personal injury. Jennifer, I need to ask you something important. I don't have time for... Do you actually believe I own that property? Of course you own it. You work there every day. You get mail there. It's on your tax forms. My tax forms show my workplace address, not my home ownership. Stop trying to make this complicated. Her voice was rising, getting sharp. Jennifer hates being questioned. It's not complicated. It's a simple question. Did you research the property ownership? I don't need to research what's obvious. What's obvious, Jennifer? You own a beach house. You're too stubborn to sell it, so I sold it for you. And now you're mad because I showed some backbone. Tommy had stopped painting. He was looking at me with those wise eyes. 26 years old, autistic, and he could sense what Jennifer couldn't. This conversation was about to change everything. Jennifer? What? What's the name of the company that bought the house? Coastal Properties, LLC. They specialize in vacation rentals. And they paid $1.4 million? Cash deal, closed yesterday. That's remarkable. Finally! Some appreciation for my business skills. It's remarkable, I said slowly, because the property isn't for sale. What are you talking about? It's remarkable because I don't own it. Don't be ridiculous, Dad. It's remarkable because you just confessed to your pharmaceutical company that you committed fraud. The line went quiet. Tommy resumed painting. I waited. Dad, what are you saying? I'm saying, Jennifer, that your assumptions are about to cost you everything. After Jennifer hung up, I did something I should have done years ago. I pulled out my employment contract. 14 pages. Signed March 15, 2010. Sunrise Special Needs Foundation employer. Paul Anderson, caregiver. $28,000 annually plus benefits. Page 12, Section 7. Employee understands that all facility property, including the residential beach house at 1247 Ocean View Drive, remains sole ownership of Sunrise Special Needs Foundation, a registered 501(c)(3) nonprofit organization. I've been an employee for 14 years, never an owner. Tommy came over and looked at the contract. He can't read most words, but he recognizes official documents. Points to the signature line, then to me, then nods. He understands. This paper means something important. That's right, buddy. This is where Daddy works. He smiled and went back to his painting. An ocean scene with dolphins jumping through waves. The detail is incredible. Every droplet of water perfectly placed. Tommy's been working on this series for 6 months. Ocean life, sea creatures, beach sunsets. The local gallery owner, Mrs. Henderson, says they're the most technically skilled pieces she's seen from any artist, neurotypical or not. Your son has a gift, she told me last month. These aren't just paintings, they're masterpieces. Tommy has sold 18 paintings this year. Total earnings, $28,000. Exactly what I make in salary. The kid I supposedly babysit earns as much as I do. But Jennifer doesn't know about Tommy's art career. Doesn't know about his bank account or his gallery showings or the customers who specifically request his work. She sees autism and assumes burden. My phone buzzed. Text message from Dr. Elizabeth Moore. Paul, can you come in early tomorrow? Channel 7 News wants to interview residents about the new Independence program. Tommy's lighthouse painting will be featured. Dr. Moore has been the program director for 8 years. PhD in developmental psychology. Former consultant for the Department of Health and Human Services. She designed the Beach House program from scratch. She also happens to be married to Judge Thomas Wilson. He sits on the Foundation's board of directors, retired from 25 years on the circuit court bench. I texted back, of course. What time? 10 a.m. The reporter wants to focus on success stories. Tommy's transformation has been remarkable. Transformation? That's the word Dr. Moore always uses. When Tommy started the program in 2010, he barely spoke, couldn't make eye contact, had meltdowns every time his routine changed. Now, he greets the other residents every morning, helps with meal preparation, takes the bus to his therapy appointments independently, manages his own art supply inventory. The Beach House program doesn't just house people with special needs, it transforms them into contributing members of society. 47 residents have graduated to full independence since I started working there. 47 adults who now live in their own apartments, hold jobs, maintain relationships. Jennifer calls this babysitting. I call it the most important work I've ever done. Another text came in, this one from Marcus Webb, our facility maintenance coordinator. Paul, Mrs. Patterson called. She wants to commission another painting from Tommy, dolphins again, offering $2,400. Mrs. Patterson is Tommy's best customer. She's bought 6 paintings, total value, $14,000. She's also the widow of Congressman Patterson, who helped secure federal funding for special needs programs. Small world. I showed Tommy the text. He clapped his hands, his happy gesture, and immediately started sketching dolphins in his notebook. You want to paint dolphins for Mrs. Patterson? He nodded enthusiastically, then pointed to his art supplies. High-quality brushes, professional canvases, premium paints. Total value, $3,200. All purchased with his earnings. The phone rang. Dr. Moore, this time calling instead of texting. Paul, I just got an interesting call. Oh? Someone contacted the Foundation about purchasing our Ocean View property. A company called Coastal Properties, LLC. I sat down. What did you tell them? I told them what I tell everyone who inquires about purchasing. The property isn't for sale. It's held in trust by the Foundation for the exclusive use of our residential program. Did they say who referred them? They claimed to have power of attorney from the property owner. When I explained that the Foundation owns the property, they seemed confused. Dr. Moore paused. I could hear papers shuffling. Paul, is everything all right? The caller mentioned your name specifically. Everything's fine, Dr. Moore. Just a family misunderstanding. I see. Well, I've documented the call. Our legal team will follow up if necessary. Legal team. Jennifer has no idea what she's triggered. Dr. Moore? Yes. The Channel 7 interview tomorrow. Will there be a large audience? Oh, yes. This is part of their monthly community spotlight series. Usually gets quite a bit of attention. Why do you ask? Just curious about the visibility. Well, we're very proud of the program, and Tommy's story is particularly inspiring. From non-verbal to accomplished artist in 14 years, that's something worth celebrating. After I hung up, I looked at Tommy. He was still sketching dolphins, completely absorbed in his work. 47 success stories, 14 years of transformation, thousands of hours helping people achieve independence. And Jennifer thinks I've wasted my life. Friday night arrived like a storm I'd been watching build for years. The Grand Meridian Hotel, ballroom capacity, 250 people. Jennifer had invited 300. I wasn't invited, obviously, but Dr. Moore was. See, Meridian Health Solutions sponsors our foundation's annual autism awareness fundraiser. They donate $50,000 every year. Dr. Moore sits at the corporate sponsor table at all their events. She called me at 6:30 p.m. Paul, you need to hear this. I was making dinner for Tommy. Friday night tradition, homemade pizza and a movie. What's happening, Dr. Moore? I'm at the Meridian sales dinner. Your daughter is giving a speech. I put the phone on speaker so Tommy could hear. He likes Dr. Moore's voice. It's calm and steady. What's she saying? She just announced that she's funding tonight's party with proceeds from selling her father's beach house. Tommy looked up from his pizza. Even he understood something was wrong. Go on. Paul, she's claiming ownership of our property in front of the entire pharmaceutical sales division, including corporate executives from New York. I could hear the background noise, clinking glasses, applause, conversation. Is she still speaking? Yes, she's saying some very unkind things about you. Such as? Dr. Moore's voice got careful. Professional. She's describing you as a failed accountant who chose poverty over progress. She's calling your work with Tommy enabling dysfunction. Tommy's face fell. He understands more than people think. It's okay, buddy, I told him. Keep eating your pizza. Paul, Dr. Moore continued, she just told 300 people that you're living off charity while hoarding valuable real estate. Anything else? She's explaining how she took control of your finances because you're emotionally incapable of making sound decisions. I walked to the window. Our modest apartment overlooked a small park where Tommy and I walk every evening. Simple life, honest life. Dr. Moore, are you recording this? I am now. My husband suggested it might be wise. Judge Wilson, smart man. She's building to something, Dr. Moore whispered. The crowd is getting excited. I could hear Jennifer's voice in the background, getting louder and more confident. What's she saying now? She's talking about breaking generational cycles of mediocrity, about refusing to let family dysfunction define her success. Tommy had stopped eating. He was staring at the phone with those expressive eyes. Paul, this is getting worse. How much worse? She just called Tommy a lifelong burden that prevented you from achieving your potential. That's when I felt it, the quiet anger I'd been holding for 15 years. Tommy flinched. He heard that phrase before from his mother the day she left. Dr. Moore? Yes? Is there a microphone? Yes, she's at the podium, full audio system. How many people can hear her? The entire ballroom, plus the live stream for remote employees. Live stream, even better. She's wrapping up, Dr. Moore said. Wait, she's asking for questions from the audience. I could hear shuffling, voices, movement. Someone's asking about the property details, Dr. Moore reported. She's saying it's worth $1.4 million. Oceanfront, premium location. Is she mentioning the address? Yes. She just said 1247 Ocean View Drive. She's calling it the Anderson family estate. Tommy touched my arm. He wanted to know if he should be upset. Everything's fine, I told him. Jennifer is just confused about some things. Paul, Dr. Moore's voice was urgent now. She's taking questions about your mental competency. Someone asked if you're capable of living independently. What's her answer? She's saying you need supervised care, that you're financially irresponsible and emotionally unstable. Supervised care, mental incompetence, financial irresponsibility. Jennifer wasn't just lying about property ownership. She was building a legal case for guardianship. Dr. Moore? Yes? Tomorrow's Channel 7 interview. Can you move it to Monday? I suppose so. Why? I want a larger audience. I could hear applause through the phone. Jennifer's speech was ending. Paul, what are you planning? Nothing dramatic, just a conversation about truth. She's leaving the podium now, Dr. Moore reported. People are congratulating her. Lots of handshakes and networking. Any corporate executives approach her? Yes. The regional vice president just shook her hand. He's saying something about, oh my, what? He's saying something about promoting employees who show strong family leadership. Family leadership. Jennifer was turning lies into career advancement. Dr. Moore, one more thing. Yes, Monday's interview. Can you invite some additional guests? Who did you have in mind? Mrs. Patterson. She's been wanting to meet the local news team about Tommy's art. The congressman's widow? Of course. And maybe some of the residents who've graduated to independence. Success stories. Wonderful idea. This could be our biggest publicity opportunity yet. Perfect. And Dr. Moore? Yes? Can you make sure the interview mentions Meridian Health Solutions' sponsorship of our program? Silence. Then, Paul, are you sure about this approach? I looked at Tommy. He was back to eating pizza, trusting that whatever was happening, I'd handle it. Dr. Moore, for 15 years I've let people assume things about my life, about my choices, about my son. And now? Now it's time for some clarity. Paul, yes? For what it's worth, everyone at the foundation considers you family. What she said tonight, it doesn't reflect reality. I know, but Monday reality gets to speak for itself. After I hung up, Tommy brought me a piece of pizza. He doesn't like when people are upset, especially when it involves him. It's going to be okay, buddy. Sometimes people get confused about important things, but the truth always comes out eventually. He nodded and went back to his dinner. Jennifer thought she'd won tonight. 300 people heard her claim ownership of property that isn't hers, heard her describe me as incompetent, heard her call Tommy a burden. Monday morning, those same 300 people would learn something new. They'd learn what 15 years of quiet dignity actually looks like. Monday morning, 10 a.m., Channel 7 news van parked outside Sunrise Special Needs Foundation. The beach house looked beautiful. 2-story coastal architecture, wraparound deck, private beach access. Value, $1.2 million. Owner, Sunrise Special Needs Foundation, as recorded in county property records since 2003. Jennifer wasn't there, obviously, but her world was about to change anyway. Reporter Sarah Kim set up near the main entrance. Professional crew, full lighting, multiple cameras. This wasn't a small segment. This was the Monday morning feature story. We're here with Dr. Elizabeth Moore, Program Director, to discuss the remarkable success of the Sunrise Foundation's Residential Independence Program. Dr. Moore looked perfect. Navy blue suit, confident posture, 20 years of experience in her voice. Thank you for having us, Sarah. We're excited to share some extraordinary stories. I understand you have a particularly inspiring case study? We do. Paul Anderson has been with our program for 14 years, both as an employee and as a father. His son Tommy's transformation represents everything we hope to achieve. The camera panned to Tommy, who was setting up his easel on the deck. Ocean backdrop, perfect lighting, artist at work. Tell us about Tommy's journey. When Tommy arrived in 2010, he was 26 years old, nonverbal, and struggling with basic social interactions. Today, he's an accomplished artist whose work sells in local galleries. Tommy looked up from his painting and waved at the camera, confident, happy, independent. And his father Paul works here as well? Paul is our senior caregiver and facility coordinator. He maintains our residential program, supervises daily activities, and mentors new staff members. That's when Mrs. Patterson arrived. Catherine Patterson, 73 years old, widow of Congressman James Patterson, owner of 6 Tommy Anderson original paintings. Net worth, $8.3 million. She walked straight to Tommy's easel. Tommy dear, how's the new Dolphin series coming along? Tommy beamed and showed her his latest canvas. Dolphins leaping through sunset waves. Extraordinary detail. Mrs. Patterson, Sarah Kim approached with her microphone. You're familiar with Tommy's work? Oh yes, I'm his best customer. I've purchased 6 paintings over the past 2 years. Total investment, $14,000. The camera zoomed in on Tommy's paintings displayed along the deck railing. Professional quality, gallery-worthy, beautiful. What draws you to Tommy's art? The precision, the emotion. These aren't just paintings, they're windows into how Tommy sees the world. And it's a beautiful world. Dr. Moore stepped forward. Tommy's artistic success represents our program's core mission. We don't just provide care, we develop potential. How many residents have achieved similar independence? 47 graduates since 2010. They now live independently, maintain employment, and contribute to their communities. That's when Judge Wilson arrived, Thomas Wilson, retired circuit court judge, foundation board chairman, 25 years on the bench, currently married to Dr. Moore. He approached the news crew with a folder of documents. "Judge Wilson." Sarah Kim recognized him immediately. "What brings you here today?" "I wanted to share some information about this program's legal structure and funding." He opened the folder. Official documents, letterhead, seals. Sunrise Special Needs Foundation has operated this facility since 2003. We hold the property in charitable trust, specifically for residential programs serving adults with developmental disabilities. The camera focused on the documents: property deed, foundation charter, tax-exempt status. "This property isn't just a house," Judge Wilson continued. "It's a legally protected asset dedicated to serving our community's most vulnerable population." Sarah Kim nodded. "I understand there was some recent confusion about property ownership?" Dr. Moore and Judge Wilson exchanged glances. "There was," Dr. Moore said carefully. "Someone recently contacted a real estate company claiming ownership of this property." "What was the foundation's response?" Judge Wilson took over. "We referred the matter to our legal team. Property fraud is a serious issue, especially when it involves charitable assets." That's when my phone rang. "Jennifer," I answered on speaker, loud enough for the news crew to hear. "Dad, what the hell is happening?" "Good morning, Jennifer. I'm at work." "Work? People are calling me about some news story. They're saying you work at a charity." The news crew turned to look at me. Sarah Kim gestured for permission to film. I nodded. "That's correct. I work at Sunrise Special Needs Foundation." "But you own that beach house." "No, Jennifer, I work here. The foundation owns the property." Silence on the phone. Then, "That's impossible. I sold it. You sold property that doesn't belong to you." Dr. Moore stepped closer to the phone. "Jennifer, this is Dr. Elizabeth Moore, Program Director. I spoke with Coastal Properties LLC about your power of attorney claim." "Who are you?" "I'm your father's supervisor, and I'm afraid you've made a serious legal error." Judge Wilson joined the conversation. "This is Judge Thomas Wilson, Foundation Board Chair. Your attempt to sell charitable property constitutes fraud under state law." "Judge, this is just a misunderstanding." "Jennifer," I said quietly, "would you like to explain to Channel 7 News how you sold property you don't own?" "Channel 7? Dad, what are you doing?" "I'm telling the truth, something I should have done years ago." Sarah Kim stepped forward with her microphone. "Jennifer, you're live on Channel 7 News. Would you like to comment on your fraud allegations?" The line went dead. Tommy looked up from his painting. He'd been listening to everything. He walked over and handed me his brush. "You want me to help with the painting, buddy?" He nodded and pointed to a blank section of canvas. Clouds. He wanted me to paint clouds while he worked on dolphins. "Jennifer believes I wasted my life," I told the camera while dipping the brush in white paint. "She thinks caring for Tommy was choosing poverty over success." I painted a small cloud. Not perfect, but not terrible. What Jennifer never understood is that success isn't measured by bank account size. It's measured by lives improved. Tommy has thrived in this program. He's an artist, an earner, and a contributing member of society. Tommy smiled and painted another dolphin. Jennifer calls Tommy a burden. I call him my greatest achievement. Mrs. Patterson approached the camera. "I'd like to say something." "Of course. I've bought 6 of Tommy's paintings. They hang in my home alongside works by professional artists. Tommy's talent rivals anyone I've encountered." She pulled out her phone and showed pictures. Tommy's paintings displayed in an elegant home, museum-quality framing, perfect lighting. "This young man isn't a burden. He's a gift to the art world." Judge Wilson opened another folder. "I have additional documentation here. Paul Anderson's employment history. 14 years of perfect attendance, 0 disciplinary actions. Multiple commendations for outstanding service." He held up certificates, awards, letters of recommendation. Paul chose to serve others over serving himself. That's not failure, that's heroism. The interview continued for another 20 minutes. More residents arrived, more success stories, more evidence of the program's impact. By 11 a.m., Channel 7 had enough footage for a full documentary. And Jennifer? Her pharmaceutical career was about to become very complicated, because her company sponsors this program, and she'd just committed fraud against their charity partner on live television, Tuesday morning, 8:47 a.m. My phone started ringing. First call, Marcus Webb,
our facility coordinator. Paul, you need to see Channel 7's website. The story's gone viral. I was making Tommy's breakfast. Tuesday routine. Oatmeal with blueberries, orange juice, vitamins. How viral? 43,000 views in 18 hours, 500 shares. The comment section is intense.
Tommy looked up from his morning art session. He was sketching seagulls today. What are people saying? They're calling Jennifer a monster. Someone created a GoFundMe for Tommy's art supplies. It's already raised $8,000. $8,000. More than Tommy makes in some months. Anything else? Mrs. Patterson called. She wants to sponsor a full gallery showing for Tommy's work. Second call, Dr. Moore. Paul, we have a situation. Good or bad? Channel 7 wants to do a follow-up story. Where are they now? The Beach House fraud update. And Meridian Health Solutions called. They're conducting an internal investigation into Jennifer's employment. That was fast. What kind of investigation? Ethics violation. Apparently claiming ownership of a charity partner's property violates their moral conduct policies. Third call, Judge Wilson. Paul, my legal contacts have been busy. How busy?
The district attorney's office received the Channel 7 footage. They're reviewing it for potential fraud charges. I sat down. This was moving faster than expected. Judge, I never wanted Jennifer arrested. I understand, but fraud is fraud. And she confessed on live television. Tommy brought me his seagull sketch. Beautiful work, every feather detailed perfectly. This is gorgeous, buddy. He smiled and went back to drawing. Fourth call, Sarah Kim from Channel 7. Paul, I have some update information for you. I'm listening. Jennifer's employment status changed this morning. Changed how? Meridian Health Solutions issued a statement. She's been placed on administrative leave pending investigation. Administrative leave, Jennifer's worst nightmare. They also released a statement supporting Sunrise Foundation's work and pledging continued sponsorship. Fifth call, the most important one. Dad? Jennifer's voice was different, smaller, scared.
Hi, Jennifer.
I need to talk to you. I'm listening. I lost my job. I looked at Tommy. He was concentrating on his drawing, but I could tell he was listening. I'm sorry to hear that. They called it an ethics violation. Fraud. They said I violated company policies by claiming ownership of charity property. I see. Dad, I didn't know. I really thought you owned that house. For the first time in years, Jennifer sounded like the little girl I used to know. Vulnerable. Confused. Why didn't you ask me, Jennifer? I don't know. I assumed. You assumed for 3 years. I know I was wrong. Tommy looked up from his drawing. He gestured toward the phone, then pointed to himself. He wanted to know if Jennifer was asking about him. Jennifer, do you want to know about Tommy's art? Silence. Then, his art? He sold 18 paintings this year, earned $28,000.
He has a bank account, a gallery representative, and customers who specifically request his work. Tommy earns money? Tommy is successful, Jennifer, more successful than you realized. I called him a burden. Yes, you did, on television, yes. Oh God, what have I done? I could hear her crying, real tears, not manipulation. You made assumptions about people you'd stopped trying to understand. Dad, I'm so sorry. Tommy walked over and touched my arm. He pointed to the phone, then made a gesture, hands together, like prayer. He was asking if Jennifer needed help. Tommy wants to know if you're okay. Tommy cares about me? Tommy loves you, Jennifer. He's always loved you. More crying. Can I see him? I looked at Tommy. He nodded enthusiastically. Do you want to come for dinner tonight? Yes, please. Tommy makes excellent pizza now. He learned at the foundation. The foundation. God, I was so wrong about everything. Jennifer? Yes. Bring an apology. To you, to Tommy, and to the 47 people whose program you called worthless. And to Dr. Moore, who dedicated her career to helping people you dismissed as burdens. I will, I promise. After I hung up, Tommy showed me his complete seagull drawing, a whole flock flying over ocean waves, dynamic, alive, full of motion and hope. This might be your best work yet, buddy. He pointed to one seagull flying slightly apart from the flock. Then he pointed to himself. That one's you? He nodded, then pointed to the main flock and gestured around the room. The flock was our community, the residents, Dr. Moore, Judge Wilson, Mrs. Patterson, everyone who understood his value. And where's Jennifer in this picture? Tommy thought for a moment, then drew a small bird in the distance. Not part of the flock yet, but flying in the same direction. Smart kid. He understood forgiveness better than any of us. My phone rang one last time. Dr. Moore. Paul, I have news. More news? Good news. The GoFundMe for Tommy's art supplies has reached $15,000, and Mrs. Patterson isn't just sponsoring a gallery showing. What's she doing? She's establishing the Tommy Anderson Art Fellowship, $5,000 annually for emerging artists with developmental disabilities. I looked at Tommy. He was adding more details to his seagull drawing, completely absorbed in his work. Did you hear that, buddy? You're getting a fellowship named after you. He looked up, confused. It means other artists like you will get help because of your success. Tommy clapped his hands, his happy gesture, then immediately went back to drawing. Dr. Moore? Yes. Thank you. For everything. Paul, you gave us 14 years of dedicated service. We gave you a paycheck. You've been underpaid this entire time. Maybe. But I've been overpaid in other ways. Jennifer lost her job for lying about success. Tommy earned a fellowship for actually achieving it. Sometimes justice isn't about punishment. Sometimes it's just about truth finally getting its turn to speak. 3 weeks later, the ripple effects were still spreading. Jennifer's story became a case study in pharmaceutical industry ethics training. The Anderson Incident, they called it. How assumptions can destroy careers. Meridian Health Solutions didn't just fire Jennifer. They blacklisted her. No pharmaceutical company in the Southeast would hire her now. Word travels fast in sales. But that wasn't the end of Jennifer's consequences. The district attorney filed charges, attempted fraud, forgery, filing false documents. Each charge carried potential jail time. Jennifer's lawyer, not Brad, who'd wisely distanced himself, negotiated a plea deal. No jail time in exchange for community service and restitution. 300 hours of community service at special needs facilities. Jennifer would spend the next year working with people she'd called burdens. Perfect justice, in my opinion. The Channel 7 story won a regional Emmy, Outstanding Community Interest Feature. Sarah Kim thanked Tommy during her acceptance speech. This story reminded us that success comes in many forms, and heroes don't always wear capes. Sometimes they just show up every day and do the work. Tommy framed a picture of the Emmy, hung it in his art studio next to his gallery certificates. Mrs. Patterson's fellowship fund grew to $50,000. Donations came from across the country. Artists, families, advocacy groups. Everyone wanted to support the program. The foundation expanded, bought a second property, hired 3 new staff members. Dr. Moore was promoted to regional director. And Tommy? Tommy became famous. His gallery showing sold out in 4 hours. 23 paintings, total value, $68,000. The local newspaper called it the fastest-selling exhibition in gallery history. Tommy used his earnings to buy new art supplies for the Foundation's art therapy program. Brushes, canvases, paints, everything needed to help other residents discover their talents. He kept enough to start a college fund. Not for himself. Tommy doesn't want college. For other artists with disabilities who do. The kid Jennifer called a burden was funding scholarships. My phone rang constantly now. Job offers, media requests, speaking engagements. Mr. Anderson, we'd like you to speak at our healthcare conference about caregiver excellence. Mr. Anderson, would you consider a position as our special needs program coordinator? Mr. Anderson, we're developing a documentary about family sacrifice. Would you participate? I turned them all down. My job was here. My family was here. Success doesn't require relocation, but I did accept one opportunity. The National Association of Special Needs Caregivers invited me to their annual conference. Keynote speaker. Topic: Quiet dignity in the face of judgment. 3,000 attendees, caregivers, families, professionals, people who understood the real meaning of success. I told them about Jennifer's assumptions, about 15 years of quiet service, about Tommy's transformation from nonverbal to accomplished artist. Society measures success by salary size and job titles, I said during my speech, but real success is measured by lives improved and potential realized. Standing ovation, 5 minutes of applause. Afterward, dozens of caregivers approached me, fathers, mothers, siblings, friends, all caring for people society sometimes overlooks. Thank you for showing us that our choice matters. Thank you for proving that caregiving is real work. Thank you for not being ashamed of love. That last comment came from a mother caring for her 40-year-old son with cerebral palsy. She'd been criticized by her other children for wasting her life. Your story gave me permission to be proud of my choice, she said. Permission to be proud. That's what Jennifer's cruelty had almost taken from me. Back home, Tommy was preparing for his next exhibition, a series called Family, portraits of our foundation community. Dr. Moore, Judge Wilson, Mrs. Patterson, the residents, the staff, and me. He painted me in my work clothes, standing in the beach house kitchen preparing lunch for residents. The most beautiful portrait I've ever seen. Honest, dignified, proud. That's how you see me, buddy. He nodded and pointed to the title card. Hero. Jennifer came to dinner every Tuesday now, slowly rebuilding relationships, learning about Tommy's life, his interests, his achievements. She brought art supplies on her third visit, high-quality brushes she'd researched online. I wanted to support his work, she said quietly. Progress. She attended his gallery opening, stood in the back watching strangers celebrate Tommy's talent, watched him accept congratulations with grace and confidence. I was so wrong about him, she whispered to me, about both of you. People change, Jennifer, including you. Am I forgiven? I looked at Tommy, mingling with art collectors and foundation supporters, happy, confident, successful by any reasonable measure. Forgiveness isn't mine to give alone, but Tommy included you in his family portrait series. I showed her the sketch. Jennifer, sitting at our dinner table, laughing with Tommy, drawn from memory of last Tuesday's visit. He still sees you as family. She started crying again, but different tears this time, grateful tears. The phone rang. Another job offer, probably. I let it go to voicemail. These days, the only calls that mattered were the ones from family. Real family. The people who showed up every day and did the work. Tommy brought me his latest painting, a self-portrait. But not just him. Our entire community reflected in his eyes. 47 graduates, 14 years of service, one transformed family, one daughter who'd learned the difference between success and achievement, one son whose art would outlive us all, and one father who'd finally stopped apologizing for choosing love over money. The beach house that was never mine had become the foundation of everything that actually mattered. Sometimes the best inheritance isn't property. Sometimes it's perspective. 6 months later, I got a letter that changed everything. Not a job offer, not a media request, something much more important. Tommy opened it at breakfast, like he opens all our mail now. Independent living skills. He read the return address slowly. State of Georgia, Department of Family Services. Then he handed it to me with worried eyes. Official letterhead. Legal language. My heart sank, but as I read, I realized this wasn't bad news. It was the best news possible. Mr. Anderson, following our investigation into your family's situation, we are pleased to inform you that Thomas Anderson has been approved for independent living transition. Based on his demonstrated abilities, employment history, and community integration, he qualifies for supervised apartment living with continued foundation support. Tommy was moving out, into his own place. I looked across the table at my son, 26 years old, autistic, artist, earner, and now, independent adult. How do you feel about having your own apartment, buddy? He thought for a moment, then drew a quick sketch on his napkin. A small apartment with big windows, an easel by the window, him, painting. Then he drew a line connecting his apartment to our current home. The line had arrows going both ways. You want to visit often? He nodded enthusiastically. And you want me to visit you? More nodding. This wasn't abandonment. This was graduation. The foundation had a transitional apartment program. Residents lived independently but with support staff nearby. Tommy would have his own space, his own schedule, his own life. But he'd still work at the beach house program, still paint for Mrs. Patterson, still be part of our community. When do you move? Tommy pointed to the calendar. Next month, October 15th, 6 weeks to prepare, 6 weeks to finish his current art series, 6 weeks to get ready for the biggest transition of his life. That night, Jennifer came for Tuesday dinner. She'd been coming every week for 6 months now, slowly repairing the relationship she'd damaged. "I have news," I told her over Tommy's homemade pizza. "Good news or complicated news?" "The best news. Tommy's moving into his own apartment." Jennifer stopped chewing. "He's leaving?" "He's succeeding." Tommy showed her the letter, then his apartment sketch. Jennifer studied both carefully. "Are you scared?" she asked him. Tommy considered the question seriously, then drew another quick picture. Himself, standing in a doorway, looking back at me and forward at the same time. "Scared but excited?" He nodded. "That's exactly how I felt when I moved out for college," Jennifer said softly. "Except I was so angry I forgot to be grateful." She looked at me. "Dad, I owe you an apology I've never properly given." "You've apologized many times." "Not for the right thing. I apologized for the fraud, for the lies, for the cruelty. But I never apologized for being ashamed of you." Tommy looked up from his pizza. "I was ashamed of having a father who chose love over money. Ashamed of having a brother who needed extra help. Ashamed of our small apartment and your small salary and our simple life." She paused, watching Tommy arrange pepperoni into perfect circles on his slice. "I spent 15 years trying to escape what I thought was failure, and I missed 15 years of watching actual success happen right in front of me." Tommy reached across the table and patted Jennifer's hand. His way of saying, "It's okay." "I'm proud of both of you now," she continued. "Proud of Dad for choosing the hard right thing over the easy wrong thing. Proud of Tommy for becoming the most successful artist I know." "What about you?" I asked. "What's next for Jennifer?" She'd finished her community service the month before, 300 hours working with special needs residents. She'd discovered she was actually good at the work. "I applied to graduate school, social work program, special needs advocacy track." Tommy clapped his hands, his happy gesture. "It won't replace my pharmaceutical salary," she said. "But maybe success isn't about the money you make. Maybe it's about the difference you make." After dinner, Tommy showed Jennifer his latest painting, a family portrait. All three of us sitting around our small kitchen table sharing pizza and conversation. The title, Home. Not the beach house, not some fancy property. This, us, together. If you're watching this story, please remember, success isn't about what you own. It's about who you love and how well you love them. And if you're caring for someone the world calls a burden, remember this. Sometimes the people who need the most help end up giving the most back. Tommy's moving into his own apartment next month. He's scared and excited and ready, just like every successful person should be. Subscribe if this story meant something to you, and let me know in the comments, what does success look like in your family? Because I'd love to hear about your version of quiet dignity.